Hello, hello. We are live.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we are. It is good to see everyone, because I always got
Always.
to go over and click on Instagram, right? So you got to go live. And because Instagram is funny, because in order to go live on Instagram, you have to take every time you have to take a stream key, put it in,
Of
and
course,
then go
Instagram
live.
has to be extra. Like
Instagram.
it's
Instagram
got
is
to be
like
a little
always.
special.
It is special. They are. So, but you know what? It's okay. So super
It is.
glad to be here with you.
Mm-hmm.
My name is Anthony.
I'm Gabby.
Yes, we are voice actors, and this
What would
is
you?
VOJ Academy Live. We're back. It's the 16th of October.
Yeesh.
My goodness. And we have been we've been talking this week a lot about the hats you wear in your business and growing a sustainable business. And today I think we wanted to talk about how to manage that day to day, right? Just
So
diving
many
deeper.
hats.
There's so many diving deeper into this topic, which I think, I don't know, Gabby, you've been around for some time. How
Un
often do you
poquito.
just a wee bit? How often do you think, we as a community sidestep this topic sometimes, like when it comes to like the actual business part, because we love to focus on acting because
Mm-hmm,
that's a very
mm-hmm,
important
mm-hmm.
part, and of course the tech part, but the business part.
So yeah, I mean, okay. So in the beginning,
The
God,
beginning, the
right?
in the
So God
beginning,
said, "Let there be light," and
and
then
Gabby
right in voice actors, and then me,
voice
and
oh, that was good.
that's
We got to
usually how
put
that
that. We got to
happens.
make a bumper sticker. In the
Yeah,
beginning, there
and
was God, and then voice actors.
so
Yeah.
in the beginning, there was almost no attention put on business, and so one of my early claim to fames when I came onto the coaching scene was just that. It was putting business forward, having a business centric approach. For a long time, I was the business first voiceover coach, meaning I put it first. And since then, there's been loads of people that have stepped up to the plate. There's been, I think, in the last decade, a really great shift in that. And so, yes, there are more people paying attention to this all important process and giving it the attention it deserves. But I see a lot of focus on the doing
Mm-hmm.
and not a lot on the planning, right?
Got
It's
something in
like,
my eye.
what happened? What's going on?
I'm okay. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Planning, focus. Sorry, go back.
No, it's
Focus.
just
Focus.
focus. Yes,
Yes.
focus, Anthony.
Yes. Focus.
Um, we are there is something missing. There's a lot of like, it's almost like I sometimes I see other people's, webinars, or I see like an event, and it's like jump right in. It's like just the doing. And I'm always like, wait a sec, wait a minute, because inevitably, right, there are loads of people, especially beginners, going, huh?
Right.
How do I get there? And
Right.
so there are some critical steps that get missed. And I mean,
Yes.
look, we see this everywhere, right? We see it with the people who are like, you want to be a voice actor? Cool, you need a demo. And there's like a chasm in between I want to be a voice actor and the demo.
Oh yeah.
It's not in that order. So
Yes.
yeah, kind of the
Yeah.
same thing.
And I do think, that it's so easy with a lot of the platforms out there that make
Mm-hmm.
it very easy for you to do that, right? To just start somewhere.
So
And
true.
I think sometimes, and sometimes we can also get confused about taking forward steps and which forward steps to take. Right. I think that's kind of what we're getting at right here, right? Is
But
which
also,
ones are the right steps and which ones are, whoa, we've got some stuff to do first.
for sure. And I mean, also, I think the biggest thing is it's really about how do I not waste money? Right? Because so many people then have to like backtrack and they have to do
Mm,
things again. And that sucks. Like, who
mhm,
wants to do that? Right?
mm, mm. Yeah.
Um, so yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so so with all that being said, I think that we're talking about um that point here where we're looking at our business and we're saying, okay, what are things that we need to do to run our business?
Mm-hmm.
And what are and making that distinction between what are we doing to run our business and what are we doing working in our business, which is kind of what we've been talking about, those three hats. If you're new, just a real quick recap, we kind of wear three hats in our business. This is our thought process this week, right? From the kind of taken from the book E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber. One hat, right, is the entrepreneurial hat. One hat is the manager hat, and the other hat is that technician / worker hat. All right. And we have to wear all three of these hats in our business.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of times we don't wear all three. We're all have a proclivity towards one over the others. So with that being said, yesterday we kind of left off saying a good place to start is to start to schedule a little bit of time each week to wear some of these hats you don't normally wear. Like, for example, your entrepreneur hat.
Mm-hmm.
Schedule 30 minutes a week to step away and say, okay, I'm going
At
to
least.
focus. All right, at least I'm going to focus on, coming up with ideas for solutions to challenges that I might have in my business. If you're not wearing the managerial hat, or okay. So I think this is a good point. As we were talking about, today's topic was to talk about what to do daily. I think the entrepreneur hat we need to wear regularly, but the managerial hat, especially early on, I feel needs to be worn sometimes even more necessarily than the worker hat.
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think, Gabby?
I agree. I think the managerial hat is really how you create systems. It's how you create processes. It's how you start to structure and create balance. And I mean, it's interesting that it is that middle role because it creates balance between the entrepreneur and the worker.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, when there's a lot of, and it's interesting because there's a lot of questions that people have and they ask and they always get sprinkled in the midst of us, doing like acting and doing tech, simple things like, how do I manage my files? Like I'm creating all these files. My desktop looks like, my kid's room. It's just a mess. there's no room in sight. And how do I do something like that?
Right.
I was just thinking of my kids are good Lord, sometimes they get messy, right?
It's very true though. Yeah.
So, but that's a simple. So if we go from like a 20,000 foot view now to trying to think what is like Gabby and I talking about, and with the wearing these hats. So that's like a simple thing. So organizing, for example, your files, how to manage your files. So speaking of which, Gabby, do you have like a quick, by the way, everybody here too, I have a really big announcement to make. I'm very excited about that in a little bit, but I just want to keep going here. Cliffhanger. Anyway, so Gabby, do you have any quick?
I'm not even sure I know what the big announcement is. So this is exciting. Yeah.
Any tips on just that
Yeah,
singular
for sure.
Organizing files?
What kind of tips do you have? So after and again, this is all trial and error. This was all learned by having the shit hit the fan so many times, right? That I was probably balled up in a corner somewhere crying in desperate need of solutions. So here's what it is. First of all, I don't use my local hard drive. Now, I know that sounds wild because, right, computers come with like crazy big hard drives, but they fail.
Yes,
and
they
if
do.
You have a catastrophic failure, you lose everything. So I use my local drive only as sort of like a pass through and very sparingly. My archives are the business itself. Live on Dropbox, and I pay for a Dropbox subscription for like a bajillion terabytes, and I have everything. I have the Dropbox desktop version is my primary file organizer. In that, right? So I have folders and exactly what I feel like you would kind of expect from a business, right? I
Mhm,
have
mhm,
accounting and taxes. I have software. I have everything from my different websites all have their own folder. Inside of those folders, graphics, audio, the language, everything is like folder upon folder upon folder to
mhm.
create this pathway that I can easily find to get to that thing that I need.
Oh, I love it.
The other thing is my audio,
Mm,
right? And
mm.
so audio for me, I got to tell you, it's actually, I feel like it's the simple one because it's one of two things. If it's a job, then I'm creating a folder for the client. The client gets a subfolder, right? The audio goes into the corresponding folder. Super simple. But auditions, I just have a freaking massive folder in Dropbox. It's in all caps, so it stands out from everything else, and it's just called auditions. And day in and day out, the majority of the audio that I'm sending it just lives in there. And
Mhm,
once a year, I purge it. Once
mhm.
a year, I go through it. I keep some stuff that I really like. I eliminate the majority of the BS I don't need. And that's about it.
Mm.
And it just makes my life so much easier. I always know where everything is.
No, I love that. I love that. I do something very similar to that, and I learned early on as well that I don't keep the only thing I keep on my hard drive on my computer are files that are newer, like files I'm working on at the moment.
Mm,
Like new files,
yeah,
files that are being
sure.
used at the moment. But
Which I totally get.
I'm like extra when it comes to saving. Like I have a separate, I've got like a couple separate hard drives. I also pay for um Apple. I pay for the backup for Apple, so it backs up in the cloud, and I have Google Drive. I have like 4 different Google Drives
Well,
that I pay for, and I have my files
uh-huh.
all so no matter where I go or what happens, my computer explodes, which happened earlier this year. Some people remember that. I mean, it was
Yeah.
some catastrophic failure. Your files are safe. Your files are protected. That's a
That's
big thing.
the one thing I didn't talk about is that, yes, I have a redundant backup in Google.
Redundant for
Yeah,
redundant for
it's a
redundant.
so that's my Google Drive, and I pay for that as well.
Yeah.
And then but all it is a backup. It's
Mhm,
literally like an archival.
mhm.
But also, and this was this year because my Dropbox was getting too big,
And
and I was like,
Dropbox, and we have Dropbox. Yeah,
mhm.
Dropbox.
And I was like, "Okay, the digital clutter's getting to be too much." So we bought an external hard drive that, it's actually really cool. I really love these hard drives. I can't remember the specific company name, but they're like tanks. They're like indestructible hard drives
Is it
because
Seagate?
that might be it. It's
Okay.
like they're really cool though. And so we went ahead and just said, "Okay, you know what? Everything pre 2021, we're going to get the hell off of Dropbox and put
Mm,
on this drive for archive purposes." And that's what we
mhm.
did. Yeah.
I love it.
Yep.
No, that's awesome. So I think from a standpoint of managing your putting that manager hat on and looking at your files, where they go, where they are, where you're backing them up, those are things you got to think about because it is inevitable. All of us, we're here proof. It's
Yeah.
inevitable that no matter what you do, computers break, things happen, files get, you get lost. So you want to back up those files and have multiple places for them to be safe.
You should not feel like navigating your computer is a
Mhm.
hunt and peck process, right? Like a chicken just, out in the yard trying to find. No, if you're hunting and pecking, you need systems. There's
So
no doubt.
this is a great transition to talk about then how like the one of the big points to this week I wanted to make was getting to this point of okay, so for example, we just gave you some tips on how we back up our files and how like Gabby talks about her files and how she goes about making files, sub files, getting to them. If we want to move our business forward and create a business that is not always going to be solely on our shoulders, meaning like we are not going to be the only ones who could, like, if we leave, like no one, like a psychic couldn't even figure out how to manage our business. Okay. Like we would need something to help someone. And again, I'm not saying that we're hiring other talent. We're the talent at the moment, but I'm saying we need to create a system. That's the word we're going to use in order for, and if you think about it this way, this has really helped you. I want you to think of creating a business to where, let's say Gabby and I contact you and say, hey, listen, we want to buy your voiceover business. Okay. The only thing we need is your operator's manual. All right. And that operator's manual, we just need, like you put everything down in there in your business so that we can take that manual and run the business without you being there. And we know how to do everything. We know how to find everything. We know how to get the work that you're trying to get, how to do how you approach your voiceovers, how you store your files, how you manage your bank accounts, how your bookkeeping is going. All of those things are in that operating manual, and we're going to buy that from you. I always ask this to all my students: is how many of you right now would be able to hand an operating manual to Gabby and I? All right. Most of us say no, we don't have one.
Yeah.
We are the manual.
I want to make that even. I think, yes, I agree with how you're wording that, but also I want to help the people who are going to poo-poo, right? And go, oh, who's going to buy my voice? And you know what I mean? Like, it's just me. Okay, I'm going to make this even more real world. One day, right? Something is going to happen to you, for the worse, unfortunately. That's just the reality. Could your spouse, your children, right, navigate your system to get pertinent information? That's the way you have to look at it. It's part of estate planning, even, really.
Thank you. I think, what I think is just simple, and let's bring down even more, a little simpler, or simple as we're talking about passwords. Yeah. So like, imagine if, again, like something happened and your spouse or your kids or somebody needs to be able to get into your accounts to manage things and everything.
Anthony,
do they even have something written down somewhere where there's passwords?
I've seen it.
Even get into your accounts.
I've seen it so many times. And then this is where you go into probate, and your assets are frozen for a really long time. And like, your family suffers during that process at a time where the last thing they need is insult to injury. So yes, like, all my kids know, I mean, as crazy as this is, right? My kids know that there is a master password document and they know how to access it. Right. My kids know that the way I have the files set up in Dropbox is very user-friendly for navigating to specific items. They know that if anything happened to me tomorrow, they would be able to jump in and effectively take care of, whatever needed to be done.
Yeah. And that's very real world, like, could happen to us, which will happen to all of us one day, sadly. But going back to that other part though, and I don't even necessarily want you to think about you're going to sell your business, because that's not what this is necessarily about. It's about you trying to sell a business. But what it is about creating a system, and how you do that is you're going to get a piece of paper or on a document on your computer, and literally in a bullet form, write out what you do on a daily basis in your business. Yes. You know what I mean? And, you can make it as in-depth as you want, or you can make it as 20,000 foot level view as you want, but begin this process of putting down, typing out, writing down what you actually do. This is the beginning of building systems, because then what this will inevitably do for you in your business is this will help you know what you need to do, what you are currently doing, what is working, what is not working, how you can adjust, how you can make changes and grow, right? And how you can run the business, and down the road, hopefully hire people to help you run the business. Okay. This is the beginning of you. And by the way, that's a very entrepreneurial type of mindset there, because you're working on your business, not just in your business.
Here's a fun one too. And I have seen this many times in various instances where, let's say you do grow to a place where you're like, yeah, you know what? I need to hire somebody to take over X. One of the barriers for people hiring other people and doing other things is that they go, I'm the only one who knows the system. Oh, now I have to, right? They delay the process because it's such a headache at that point to try to explain to someone else how it works, or they don't want to give up the reins at that point, right? And again, that's just poor thinking. Entrepreneurs don't think that way. We have to be able to do some of that. So,
The system is what you create.
mhm.
And I think that's where we, we as voice actors, right? What we like to think, what we create, our performances, our performances, and those performances, right, are that, I guess, special sauce that we bring to the table.
Yeah.
Right. But as a business owner, the most special thing you can do, because I hate to say this, I'll say this about myself. I am not the most, I am not the most talented voice actor in the world. The reality is you would be able to find, and I'm not putting myself down too much, but I'm saying you'd be able to find other if something happened to me yesterday, there would
Sure,
be a
same.
lot of amazing voice actors that could fill my shoes
Yeah.
and do a great performance. But what separates all of us is the system, the unique formula we build ourselves on
Mhm.
how we run a successful business.
Yes.
That is unique to all of us. And it's funny because I know a lot of people a lot of creatives be very upset about that, but that's the reality of the situation. Right. And it's funny because I know and if you study even the greatest artists and all these people of the times, they had a process. They had a process for learning. They had a process for their painting. They had a process, and they could tell you their like if you study these people, it's incredible how much actual practice and learning and process oriented these creatives were. These people we view as just these icons in history. So all right, so anyways, the announcement everybody's waiting for, I'm just very excited about it. We have hit 400 audiobooks published on Academy Voices today, the 400 mark, which I'm just absolutely over the moon about. And of course, we also, I don't know if I said it yesterday, but we've almost hit $3,000 for the first time in royalties that we're giving out this month. So it's very, very exciting, and I'm like blown away that we've actually hit 400.
That's amazing.
Wow. Yeah. So incredible.
Wow. 400.
Yes, 400.
And that's in a little over a year. Am I right in that? Wow.
Oh yeah. I mean, we have, it's absolutely
That's intense.
It's wonderful. We're growing, and also very excited to announce that we are adding a new production wing to Academy Voices, or Gabby and I are very excited about. Yeah, we're gonna start piloting and doing some audio dramas, so we're very thrilled about that. We have our first one that we're working on right now that we're beginning, and my hope for this is it opens the door for so many more voice actors to participate. Right there, it's a lot of fun. We love audiobooks, of course, and we're going to continue to do audiobooks, but audio dramas are massive right now. They're just growing and growing, and hey, there's nothing more fun than acting.
I feel like this has been on your bucket list for so long. And, I am just over here going, you know what? If I can live out my very own Garrison Keillor Prairie Home Companion fantasy, that's awesome. I'm all in.
Oh, no, I love it. I have. It's so funny because for years I want to do this, but to myself, I've always been, and this is the reason why early on, when I first started voiceover, I had this idea to build enough of something. At the time I was doing nonfiction audiobooks, that I thought, royalties, I wanted to build a business where there was royalties, things that came in, right? But I looked at that was my idea early on. I could do 1,000 audiobooks. And if each one made $1 a day, like, I don't know if anybody does this stuff, but I always say logically, well, all you have to do is this and all you have to do is that. And all things, I do all of that. And I realized early on, especially after I did 1 or 2 books, there's no way in God's green earth I could do that by myself. And then audio dramas came along, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I love audio dramas, and I want to do it. And there's so many of us who love audio dramas. But at the time, it was very difficult. I always said the reason why I never went forward with a lot of them is because how do you make money on them? Like, there was no way to make money. Like, and by the way, guys, this goes into that business mindset we're talking about. It is fun to do projects for fun and for practice, but I was always thinking, okay, how do I actually make money at this? How is it going to help other people as well, other voice actors? And I think a lot also like multi-person audiobooks, which is still struggling when it comes from making money because it's difficult to hire, 15,
ensemble
20 voice actors for one audiobook when it's nearly possible to pay one voice actor as much money as they should, let alone 20. But for audio dramas, and now with the amount of the ability, well, not only do we have our monetized YouTube channel that's doing better than it ever has before, but almost every platform that you work through, podcasts, has automatically built in ad revenue, things that you can make. So there's money to be made now by producing these products, which they weren't just a few years ago. It wasn't as easy. So, that's changed. So now it's very exciting that we can bring and start doing these.
Yeah. And I think, the idea of if you build it, they will come, right? Like yes, it still exists, but you also have to build the systems. You also have to build the back end. It's not enough to just come up with the product anymore. Yeah.
No, and I think that's we've been blessed with Academy Voices that it's and I can tell you guys, like, it doesn't just happen overnight. It takes a lot of work, and I can't tell you, I've redesigned Academy Voices buckets of times, loads of times. It's gone through multiple iterations to get to the point where we are now.
Yeah.
Right. And it still probably has many more to go, but the point is it's starting, you've got to go through a bunch of these systems and a bunch of these trial and errors to see what works. Because if something doesn't work, that's okay. You just found one way not to do it. Keep working on finding ways to make it done. So, all right, well, enough of that. We've been talking for a while. We've had some great, Dylan, you're hilarious. Yes, audio drama. Audiobooks are great, but it's actors' equivalent of playing tennis against a wall. Audio dramas allow you to act off of people. Absolutely. I think that's so exciting. So we're gonna have more information about that, and it's going to, again, we have VOJ Academy will be the actors, and so we draw through that go through Academy Voices and everything. So it's very, very exciting.
And tomorrow's Open Forum Friday.
Open Forum Friday.
Yep.
Come and bring your questions. We love you guys. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Talk to you tomorrow. Goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye.